Paul Mecurio is a comedian we love here at Build Brunch. His new show, Permission to Speak with Paul Mecurio, is playing off-Broadway at the Jerry Orbach Theater in NYC, where audience can expect an interactive night at the theater. Let's take a look.
How are you? Can you come up here for a second? Stay right here. Come up here. Come here. Say hi to your dad. Really? This guy fucked another woman, and that's the guy. Holy shit. Look at this. It's like, wow. Okay. So what is your name?
My name's Kirk.
What is it?
Kirk.
Kirk. Nice to meet you. And you stand up. You have terrible posture. I do. And who are you here with?
My friends in the back row there.
Hey, man. What's your name? Jacob. How are you, man? How do you guys know each other?
We work together and we perform improv together.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah. And you grew up in the Midwest?
No.
Where?
Upstate New York.
Yeah, that's the Midwest. Yeah. How is it meeting your dad for the first time?
It answers a lot of questions I had.
That is awesome.
And I am from the Midwest, by the way.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem emotionally closed off.
Yeah.
Iowa?
Detroit.
What'd you look down at my dick for when you said that? Did you see his eyes go down? I'm gonna be at the Comedy Castle in Royal Oak, Michigan.
That's where I was born and grown, 35 years.
No, raised, not grown.
Born and grown.
How do you do it with this guy? You were born and raised there?
Yep.
Yeah, you gotta come see me. I'm gonna be there in December.
Okay. I'll do it.
You're gonna be ironing your shorts. You're not gonna come.
Everybody give it up for Paul Mecurio.
Thank you. How you doing?
We're good.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. Being here.
That guy's scaring me. He's intimidating. What's up, man? You got guns. All right, anyway.
But this is sort of what your show is, right? You bring people out of the crowd. So why is that something that you thought would be like a fun thing to do?
Because I'm doing it in my stand-up and doing more.
Why is that fun for you?
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm a masochist. Basically, the thing is, when I'm talking to people, it started out just talking to people, like doing like chit chat. And then I would have people stand up so people in the back of the room can see them. And I'm like, well, why don't you just come on stage? And they come on stage, and this is in my stand-up around the country, or if I'm doing warm-up at the Late Show or whatever, and it just sort of evolved into this thing, and then some people saw me doing it who produce shows, and they're like, this could be a show, and the stories I get are like crazy. Like this woman, this was literally 4 days ago, I said to this woman, what's your name? She goes, Nydia. Right, and I go, Lydia? She goes, no, Nydia. Like, she was really pissed off that people completely do that all the time. And she goes, I go, well, how'd you get that name? It's very unusual. She goes, well, my father named me after his lover. Right, no, right? So now I'm thinking, okay, well, you're born out of wedlock, right? And she goes, no. He was sleeping with another woman while he was married to my mother. He got my mother pregnant with me, but he named me after the woman that he was fucking on the side.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I see all of you are doing exactly what everybody did. Yeah. Everyone was like, what? And which is like weird, because like, how do you like rock a baby to sleep named after you're like, I got to get hard on looking at my daughter.
My God.
And it was weird. It was weird. I'm not the pedophile. Relax. Yeah. And then, so it's just these things come out. We had this, I had a lesbian. I was in Minnesota. I was working, one of the clubs. Bring her on stage. You have a partner? Yeah. You married? Yeah. Bring her up. How'd you guys meet? They giggle. I know I got a story, right? All I asked was, how did you guys meet? That's it. So the partner goes, well, I was married. I have 3 kids. We met at a softball game. Everybody laughed. Shocking. Lesbians at a softball game. And basically, yeah, you can giggle. It's not politically incorrect. Loosen up! And no. And so now the crowd's like leaning in, right? They go, so we ended up having an affair. And I divorced my husband. And we got married. And everybody's like, oh. And you think it's the end of the story. Here it comes. We all live in the same house together, including the ex-husband. No. And we sleep in the beds. Everybody's eyes did that. And we sleep in the bed that the husband and the wife slept in, and my husband sleeps down the hall. Wow. They came back the next night, because lesbians love me. And they brought their 3 kids to the show. 3 like 2 18-year-old twins and a 19-year-old daughters. And I said, and she said, we had drinks. She said, I want to thank you for being inclusive with your comedy. This isn't about me. It was just like, I go, well, I just talked. She goes, well, you didn't like treat us like we were broken or different. We're just like regular people who have lives and whatever. And I go, yeah, you are. I go, why'd you bring your daughters? They said, well, we wanted them to see that in this very politically correct world, you can actually talk about these things in a no bullshit way and not tiptoe around it. And then she said, the best part of the story for me was, she said, the night before we came to see you, and they seated us. You know, comedy clubs are like this. They have the narrow tables. We were on the other side. Yeah. And the people across from us, she said, were a heterosexual couple, were clearly uncomfortable with us as being gay. And they read gay. She had like short hair and a flannel shirt. You know, it was the whole 9 yards. And, well, no, true. It's a stereotype. I'm Italian. We're in the mob. And it's true. My cousin Bobby runs numbers and he sells shit out of the back of his car. And so she said, they wouldn't make eye contact with them. They wouldn't talk to them. They were very uncomfortable. But then after they got off stage and told their story, it was a complete 180. They gave them a hug, they bought them a drink, they talked to them because it took the boogeyman out of being gay for those people who maybe never met or experienced gay people before. And so that's what's happening. I mean, it's just the stuff that people come out and say, and they go, well, how did you do? I literally just said, how did you meet? Yeah. And then and so I feel like in this show, what I talk about, and the theme of it is, it's not a stand-up show, is that there's people, everybody has a story, right? You walk down, everybody in this room has a story, everybody. And all it is talk to them and talk to each other. The story comes out, and then maybe we're more connected than we think we are.
I love
That's
that.
it. That's it. Nothing too heavy.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
That I would imagine like having to do a show where, I mean, a lot of it is like improvised and comes up in the moment. Like that would put the pressure on for me as a performer, for you, I'm imagining.
Yeah.
Like what is the format for like those shows? I mean, do you just really go in there and just pick people and talk to them, or do you have in your head, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z?
No, I won't even look at the audience ahead of time.
Wow.
I'll just come out. I definitely want to talk to him. There's something going on with him right now. What do you do? A dancer.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
You
that
must be
explains the
tired.
guns.
Are you tired? Sit up. You have terrible posture. Sit up.
I'm chilling on the couch.
You want to hang out later?
Sure.
You're not going to hang out with me.
Buy me a shot.
All right.
Whoa, there we go. I got weed. You want weed?
I'll take that too, man.
I mean, I'll take it too if you have it.
Exactly, right now. No, so like everybody has a story, right? Like he's a dancer, and I would love to talk to him more about it. But like the point is, like, I just sort of talk to them, and I have no particular reason why I bring somebody up. Like it's just based on whatever. Like he seems cool, I bring her up. I bring her up maybe, or I like her hat, maybe bring her up. But it's not about the hat or whatever. It's just going to talk to them, and then pretty much everybody will give you something. You know what I mean? Which is always cool for me. You know. So
Definitely.
yeah, and I rarely get somebody that doesn't want to say something, you know? Like last night I had a 67-year-old couple, they were married a year. They met on spank.com. She's right back there. Did you hear her laugh?
Yeah.
And
Love, true love.
Yeah, and then when it goes further, so now it's like peeling an onion. I swear to God. So all I said was, how long you been married? And then it turned into, we have an open relationship. And I go, oh, you sleep with other people. No, we're open in our lovemaking and the way we approach it.
Okay.
I go, well, what do you have, diagrams? Like, what does that mean? She's like, no, she goes, I am we're very open to trying things. And then it turns out, he goes, and this guy looks like your neighbor down the street who cuts his lawn every Saturday, right?
Oh, God.
He goes, I'm a dom and she's a sub. And I like to be dominated, she said, because it frees me up from my responsibilities of the day. Exactly. And everybody's looking at her like, what the fuck, right? And so this all came out in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And this was like the average person walking down the street. And then we had a three-way after the show.
Right.
No.
They're like spank.com. They're into some interesting things.
Right.
You sound
Lucas
really
is like, you
interested
said
in
spank.com?
Yeah,
Cost any money to register?
I was gonna say you sound really interested in people. Is that what made you want to get into comedy in the first place? Like, what made you interested?
Oh,
in writing jokes?
no, it wasn't the people thing. I don't know. I was writing jokes as a hobby. I was working on Wall Street. I was doing law and banking, and then I just started writing jokes. I always liked watching comics on TV, and then I met Jay Leno at a private function, and I handed him my jokes, and he was like, okay, like, and he really does talk like they're letting helium out of a balloon very slowly, and it was like it kind of threw me, and then he took the jokes, and I said, I don't know if you need these jokes, but I'm never going to use them. I'm a lawyer, and he took them, and the next day he called me, and like 2 days later, and I had told my friend David, who does impressions and stuff, just a friend. Like, and by that I met him, and the phone rings, and I go, and he goes, "Hey, it's Jay Leno. It's Paul there." And I'm like, yeah. He goes, "What?" He goes, "Jay Leno." And I'm like, yeah. And I thought it was my friend Dave. I go, "Yeah, David, really funny." And I said to him, I go, "You do a lousy Jay Leno." Jay Leno. And he goes,
That's
"No, Jay Leno. I think I know." I go, "No, you have a shitty Jay Leno." I was like, "Oh fuck." And then he did one of my jokes the following week on The Tonight Show.
Wow.
And it blew my head off my shoulders. Now, you're comedians and you know, let alone doing it like that, there's that rush. And I think for me, it was like I created something out of thin air and people reacted to it. And the more powerful thing was it came out of this box. I've been watching this box my whole life and other people's words. And then all of a sudden, my words came out of the box. And then I became obsessed with writing jokes. And then Jay told me to go try the jokes. So I started to live a secret double life. And I'd go to dive bars around New York City.
Wow.
And one of the places I worked was called Downtown Beirut 2. It was in the Bowery. And I guess they were franchising these shitholes. I don't know. But and Pimp worked out of there, Pusher. And there was a hooker named Tiffany who would give you notes on your jokes.
Wow. Oh, perfect.
She'd come off stage and go, "You think you should be doing that cab joke again? I just think it needs a little thing at the end." I'm like, "Okay, thank you."
That's amazing.
Can I have a blowjob? No. So it was really crazy, and I was living this double life, and that's how it started. But it was a creative thing, I think, that kind of got me into it a little bit.
dope.
Yeah.
So do you still write for your stand-up, or are you doing a lot of like improv in your stand-up?
No, my stand-up, I write for it. I just have this as part of it now, and it's usually
Okay.
like in the beginning, and then like a lot of my stories are just about me, just in my life, and getting in confrontations with people because I think I'm going to change the world, and then I end up, I almost got arrested on Amtrak because I got in a fight with the conductor and they stopped the train for an hour.
Whoa.
And I got banned from a market over a red onion, and I pulled my pants down on 86th Street and told the guy to fuck me in the ass over a plastic bag. So it's not good. But yeah, I know. I'm a people person. But it's real. So what happens for me with my stand-up is I think you start out and you just want to connect with people, so you'll just sort of talk about what you think everybody relates to, right? Like getting in a cab or whatever. But then over time, like you start to go, like, I really want to just talk about this other part of me. And so I do that, and then I bring these people into it. And sometimes some of their stuff feeds into my stuff, you know? It's kind of crazy, yeah.
You are the warm-up comedian for The Late Show with Stephen
Yeah.
Colbert. What's your favorite part about working on that show?
We drink in the morning.
I love that. I'm trying to get us to be drinking.
Yeah,
too.
exactly. And it's just like being part of that show, which is kind of like I worked on The Daily Show, and then I did warm up with the Colbert Report before that. It's just sort of being in that theater is kind of crazy. It's the Ed Sullivan Theater, like the Beatles and Elvis and everything else, and like it's just big, and you feel like I worked on The Daily Show, and that's a cool show in a cool space and studio. But then you go into that, it's like Yankee Stadium. You know what I mean?
It's iconic.
like, and it's got a balcony and all this other stuff. So that's really like cool about it. And then there's people from all over the country and all over the world. So like you're trying to connect with like a lot of different people, like not just New Yorkers, which is kind of challenging, but it's cool. And then, you know, Steven's great. And then the guests, like you just stand there and it's like Scarlett Johansson is like this far from you. And I realized that if you touch her, they will tase you.
Yes. That's fact.
Yeah,
From experience.
I would recommend not touching. Or George Clooney. Lovely ass, don't touch his ass. That was the other thing. And we would get those big stars on The Daily Show, but I don't know, it's just the bigness of it, you know, still kind of like, whoa, this is like crazy, you know? Yeah.
Well, you also have a podcast where you speak to a lot of A-list celebrities, like, and it's so good and so funny.
Thanks.
How is it different speaking to like celebrities instead of just like, you know, regular everyday people?
I think you treat them like everyday people. Hey, Alex, can you get my phone in my bag? I want to play something. Sorry, but it's live. Who gives a fuck? And I don't mean that in a bad way. They basically, like I think if you get these people on your podcast, they don't want to be treated like they're special, and you actually, if you do a little work and do some research, then they'll tell you stuff, right? Like, and they appreciate it. Like Kristen Chenoweth I had on, and she was like really appreciative that I bothered to research her, and I go like, well, that's kind of what I'm supposed to do. And then I had, I had Paul McCartney on, and I got Paul McCartney by meeting him at the Colbert Report, and I got him because I didn't ask him for an autograph or a picture. I just treated him like a regular person. And we started talking, and one thing led to another, and I basically was like, I'm talking to Paul McCartney, and he's talking to me like a normal person in the hallway. And I'm looking around for someone to tase me for talking to the guy. And as I'm talking to him, I'm realizing I'm getting closer and closer to his face. Like I was like the close talker guy on Seinfeld. Like I was this close to his face. Like I could have cleaned like ticks off his eyebrows. I was that close like that. And so as I'm talking to him, I'm getting kind of sweaty, but I'm kind of be cool. And on the outside, I'm talking to Paul McCartney. And on the inside, I'm like, I'm talking to Paul McCartney! Like I was out of my mind, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to leave him alone. And I go into the bathroom, and I'm hyperventilating. Thank you. I'm going to do this at the same time. Oh, my mother texted me. And
Say hi to your mother.
And she's 91, and she will not go down. No, I don't. No, I mean, no. Shut up, meet her, and you'll know what I mean. No, she's great, but she's like a lot. She's 91, and she gets, no, she not, well, she,
you can't save it.
Yeah,
Just,
no, you give her arsenic, and man,
Italian
she bounces right back. No, so what ended up happening was, I go into the bathroom, I'm hyperventilating, and I'm like, I talk to Paul McCartney, I can't believe it. And then I go to myself, Paul McCartney should do my podcast. Like, that's how my crazy brain works, right? So I go into the dressing room and I knock on the door. I go, I know this is crazy, but I would love to talk to you about how you make music because I can't do that. And my show is really about just talking to people about process and how you do what you do. Like, the guy who made this mug, I would talk to him for a half hour and I think there'd be something cool, right? And I go, would you do my podcast? And he goes, yeah, sure. Just like that. Now, you know there's this hot girl or hot guy you want to ask out, but they're way above your pay grade, and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to ask them out anyway. They're going to say no, but when I die, I know that I asked. Instead, they say yes, and you don't have a plan. So he goes, is it okay if I stand up?
Yeah.
For a second. He goes, yeah, sure. How would we do it? And I'm standing there like this, and I literally, these were the noises that came out of me. I'm like, and I'm rubbing myself like Rain Man. I swear to God, and I go, I'll come to London. And he's like, we're in New York in a room together. Why would you come to London? And then he goes, is it easy to do? And I actually said to Paul McCartney, yeah, it's really easy. I don't want to be a bother. You could do it on your phone naked from your toilet. I'm like, what the fuck am I saying? So like, I got it now. I'm like, just get out of here. I'm going to ruin it.
Just leave,
right?
yeah.
Just leave, right? So I go, look, I'll leave you alone. I'll find your assistant, and I'll set it up. And this is the mind blow right here. He goes, no, you and I'll do it. I go, what do you mean? He goes, you and we'll just coordinate it. I go, what do you mean? He goes, we're going to exchange numbers.
Are you kidding me?
Can we text Paul McCartney right now?
No, hang on a second. And then he goes, I'll give you this back. He goes, when I call you, you got to be ready to do it. So now I write it on a Post-it, and I'm literally, my hand is shaking, and I'm handing my fucking phone number to Paul McCartney. And of course I said, when I handed it to him, I'm not going to fuck you, old man. And then I'm like, I'm going to fuck you. You're a Beatle. I'll fuck you. All that. No. I handed him. Now I'm like, I'm like, he's not going to call me. This is like a number for a Chinese restaurant, right? So I forget about it. And he does the Colbert. This was at the Colbert Report. And I was working at the Daily Show at the same time. He finished his show. Great show. And my phone rings. I'm rushing to get to the Daily Show because I'm late. And I don't recognize the number that comes in, so I let it ring the voicemail.
No, you did not.
Hey, Paul, it's Paul McCartney here. I'm going to ring you back in 5 minutes to do the podcast thing. I've got some time now. Otherwise, I'm going to run out of time. So if you're there in 5 minutes' time, you got me. Okay, bye.
That is phenomenal.
Oh, my God.
To do the podcast thing.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I was too busy, but no.
Wow.
And then I just flipped out on 53rd and 11th, and I looked like one of those, people with mental problems because I just was like, I literally was like, fuck! Screen call, Paul McCartney, never fuck! And people are like, what is going on with it? I'm throwing my book bag down, motherfucker! Like going out of my fucking mind. And then I ran into a phone booth at the Daily Show, kept looking at the clock because we had the tape at 5:30, and I'm interviewing Paul McCartney about doing.
And you can record it on your phone. Is that?
That was a really good point. My podcast studio was in LA at the time, so I call, and it's just like this kid was completely couldn't be more indifferent. He goes, like an intern or whatever, and I go, listen, I got Paul McCartney. I need a recording line right away, and he goes, yeah, there's somebody in the studio right now. And I'm like, and I turned into this guy. I go, did you not hear me? I said, unless you have Jesus Christ or John Lennon in that studio, get him out and get me a line. So then I had to call Paul McCartney back 3 times to stall him.
Wow.
For 25 minutes to get him to do that. Yeah.
Wow.
And at one point, I just was like, I'm having a nervous breakdown. Can I call you like in 2 hours? He goes, no, man, you got me now. You're going to lose me. And then I call back and they go, okay. I go, I'm ready. Oh, Paul's in the bathroom. So now I'm picturing Paul McCartney taking a huge shit while I'm waiting for him. I'm like, and then he came out and he did it. And he was really awesome. It was really cool.
That is amazing.
That is so great.
That was such a good story.
Well,
But the whole, this goes back to your thing. The reason I brought it up was I just talked to him in that hallway like he was a person.
Yeah.
We talked about touring and traveling and kids. And if I started with like, hey, do you mind if I take a picture? Or what was it like working for John? Yoko's a bitch. If I had done that, he would never have said yes. And I didn't have an ulterior motive when I was talking to him. I just was like, I walked, because I rounded the corner, and there's Paul McCartney standing against the wall, chewing gum, looking at the ceiling. I'm like, holy fuck, that's Paul McCartney. And I'm like, should I say hi? Should I not say hi? And then I'm like, he's alone in the hallway with no security. He's like a gazelle on the plains. I'm going to pounce, right? And then I just talked to him, and he was really cool about it. And so I think if you treat him like normal people, then they really appreciate that, you know?
Well, Paul, your stories are like the best I've ever heard, from hookers to Paul McCartney. Like,
Thanks.
if you guys are in New York, make sure that you go check out Permission to Speak with Paul Mecurio, which opens officially on July 23rd. Guys, give it up for Paul.
Thank you. Thank you, buddy.
And we'll see the rest of you guys tomorrow, same time, same table.
See you.
Bye.